Parshas Vayakel. The previous shir, we discussed the topic of Geula, or Avodas Hashem, that if a person is in a tzara, if a person makes a suda, he thanks Hashem, it could be a reason that the person should actually have a Yeshua afterwards. And we discussed it on land how it works, and what's the proper way of doing it, and when it's done in a way that it can't really work. So, someone just sent me an email today that he learned that shir again and again, and he printed out the printout of the text, and Shabbos Beres Suda, this week Shabbos Beres Suda, he bought wine and all kinds of goodies, and he read from all the Maram Koimis, and I know this fellow. He has a very big nisayon in money. He fell into big chayvus. He writes me the email today and he says, I just received last night 20,000 shekel out of the blue. He says, and while I'm writing the email, something else is being worked on, another 10,000 shekel. He said, it happened to me. So, it's important to elaborate a bit more. It's not a new topic, what we're going to be learning today. But it's kind of topics that we all need to learn, and even if we could have it a tiny bit clearer and better understood, it pays, because life is full of these challenges, and Hashem wants us to learn how to really, really understand what's going on. Someone reached out to me and he said that it could use another shir. So let's try to look at this topic from a different angle. Every single hardship that a person goes through, big or small, and of course all the mediums in middle, it has a title. The title of all these tzoros, we could call it tzoros or different names, but the title that we need to give it is that it's a Golus, exile. It's a Golus. Golus is a parsha. It's part of the Torah to understand how Golus works. Klal Yisrael as a whole, Hashem took Bnei Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov took us and put us into a situation. And Hashem told Avraham Avinu that it's pre-planned, that's the plan. I'm planning to save your children and the descendants. I want to make them into a nation. And as part of that, I will take them into a long, painful Golus in Mitzrayim, and that will, in the end, turn out to be, there will be better people. They're going to turn into the type of people that they could actually have all the good in this world and in the coming world. It means we only start learning the Torah, and pretty quick we're Hashem announced it. It means Hashem says clear in the Torah. Okay, you started learning the Torah. Okay, let's reveal to you. Let's tell you what this is all about. What is the Torah all about? Okay, this is how life is. This is what the world is all about, and this is how it works. You have all the stages of how the Golus it slowly turns into a Golus. This happens, and then that happens, and the Shvatim and Yosef, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a mess. Hashem designs it, this happens, and all of a sudden you find yourself in that mess. And then it's very, very painful. In the end, the last part of the story is they leave the Golus. Now, what is the essence? The essence of something that's in exile. What's the essence of a Golus? It's a preparation to bring out a better part of a person, a better part of Klal Yisrael, which means, and we all know this, but let's chazer it again, let's put it into our heads. Golus, the essence of Golus is that it's the preparation for a Geula. That's what it is. It means it's exactly like having a fruit and the peels around it, the klipa, that's the Golus. If you see that, then you know for sure that inside there's a fruit. When you see pain, you see a Golus, it's the essence of it. It's not like, and what we're trying to bring out is, it's not like when a person is in a tzora, they're like wondering, maybe one day I'm going to get help, maybe not. And even if they do get a Yeshua, Baruch Hashem, they had a big Yeshua, people feel like they had a nest. It was going nowhere. I was sure it's not going to happen. And then, I don't know, maybe I davened, maybe I did a mitzvah, maybe, I don't know. But in the end, I'm here, Baruch Hashem, I'm fine. I thought I'm going to be stuck in debt a whole life. It was $5 million of chayvus, and I can't explain it. I cannot explain it, but Baruch Hashem, I'm fine. I had a nest. I guess I davened hard. When people say these words, even when they believe in tefillah, they have a fundamental misconception. They didn't chap. They daven, by them davening hard, even when the davening is working, and the davening made it happen, the davening didn't bring you something that wasn't there. What you did is, it's like working very, very hard to peel the orange. That's the yesod that we're trying to understand in this shir. There isn't any Golus that's not a preparation for something. It's like a highway. There will never be any government that would invest millions in a highway, and then, you know something? Let's build something. If we already made a highway, let's put a building there. It's chaval. If people are going to be driving 5 hours down there, it's not how it works. That's not how it works. It works is that there was a city there. That was the beginning. There was a city. And then they built a highway. Because they figured how people are going to get there. If you see the highway, you know it's taking you somewhere. It doesn't make any sense. It takes you, and then it's just finished. Every single tzorah, even small tzorahs, challenges. I had a challenge. The challenge started at 8:30 a.m. That's the ganze Meise. It started at 8:30, and by 4 p.m. it was over. It wasn't like a journey of 7 years of their life, or 22 years of their life. It doesn't make any difference. Nothing messes up in this world by accident. It doesn't happen like, oh, that guy bumped into my car, so I took his insurance, and it doesn't happen. Nothing is by accident. It's a small tzorah. But then, it has the potential to have a small geula. That means, by the person understanding what happened, by the person trying to see what they could fix and whatever, then it opens up new, deep parts of the mind, and that could cause the person to be a better person. So once again, every single situation will lead, if the person utilizes the situation, it will lead to a geula, to a better place, much better place than they were in the beginning. Now, let's continue. How long is the Golus? How long is until we reach the end goal? Oh, Baruch Hashem, we reached, how do they call it when they go running or whatever?
The finish line.
When's the finish line? What's the story? A guy wants to know when's the finish line. So the Gemara says that it's Ne'elam ibn Adam. You can't know when's the finish line. The Gemara says there are 7 things. One of them is Zman HaGeula. When a person is going to be done with their tar, secret. You can't know. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Because if a person would know, then they wouldn't be going through the Golus the same way. Because constantly they would know, okay, another 8 weeks, and 3 days and 45 minutes, and then we're done. So the whole time they would not be experiencing the Golus, but it's deeper than that. And this is what we need to learn. Hashem cannot tell you when it's going to finish, because it depends on what's going to happen throughout this Golus, as we know and learn in the Parsha and Chumash, even without Rashi. We know Hashem told Avraham Avinu it's 400 years, Arba Me'ah Shana. But then there's a couple of ways how to rechen, how to calculate it. Maybe from when Yitzchak Avinu was born, maybe when Yidden went into Mitzrayim, but maybe even later. Rashi makes a cheshbon, maybe only between 86 and 116. Rashi makes a cheshbon, maybe Koshi Ashibud. There's a lot of ways how to calculate it. It depends. It depends how Klal Yisrael will accept it. And by understanding the first Yesod from the Shir, we can understand this better. Which is, if we know that the Geula is the fruits of this tree, which is called Golus, you see a tree growing, you don't see any fruit to eat, it's just in the way. But you know that then there's fruit that grows, delicious fruits. That's the Geula. So now, You ask, so how long does it take? Let's have this out. A year, 2 years, tell me. I can tell you an estimate of between what and what. I can tell you usually, but I can't tell you because I don't know how much rain is going to come down. I don't know. I don't know how much it's going to be exposed to the sun. I don't know. Fertilizer. I have no idea. It's there, and it's supposed to grow, and that's what's going to happen. But I can't tell you the finish line. That's the idea of Golus and Geula. That's the concept. Yidden went into Mitzrayim. It's going to be long. It's going to be painful. I know that we know. But to tell you when it's going to be, I still can't tell you. Now, it's important to understand the last sentence. Sometimes Hashem decides that it's going to be a long journey. That is decided. It's decided it's going to be long. Long could be 10 years and could be 15 years. That I can't tell you. But it could be Hashem decided that it will take time. Because it's a whole transformation. It's a whole system that has to happen. It's not about that once it started, the guy goes and does all the schools and says, okay, and then they could just flip it over in a day. No, that's not the plan. Like Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim was planned to be very long. And still, the idea was, you could shorten it. Then we have the Golus that we're in. We are right now in a Golus. There was a secret. Achas Hayomim, Yaakov didn't want to reveal it. Hashem didn't want. How long is this Golus going to be? I don't know. But this Be'ita, the Zachisher, there's many ways how to calculate it. But it was meant to be a journey. Yidden went through all kinds of situations, and within our Golus that we're in right now, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai was revealed in the middle of this Golus. Not a different Golus. 50 years after Churban Bayis Sheni did that light happen. And only 250 or whatever years ago, we had the whole light of the Baal Shem Tov and the Talmidim, which made a big change in Torah and mitzvahs. A lot of different steps which Hashem knew will happen, but exactly how much we can't say it because it's undecided. It's dependent on how Yidden are going to work with this Golus and come to the goal, because it has to reach the goal. There's no way to get to the fruit. You can't skip. There's absolutely no way to get to the fruit if you don't go through this whole journey.
Also, in the personal goals, we learned that it's never isolated with one person. It's all the people that are connected to that person in all the different ways they're affected and affect him. So there's multiple factors.
It means if we're learning this topic, we should remember that there are Hashem, everything is Vashkocha Pratis. And it means that everybody that suffers, everybody that's in pain, and around and around the person that's having this Golus, it was also calculated. So being that there's multiple factors, we can cheshbon and know when it's going to finish, how it's going to finish, but we do know that by investing what we're supposed to be doing in Golus, what we're doing is we are giving that tree water. We're giving it to drink. We're making that happen. And even when the fruits start growing, it still takes time until it's ripe. Well, if the person understands it, and the person is there, and the person is watching the Geula happen, it's very exciting. They're seeing a Geula happen. A person could be saying, and he says, every second that Geula is happening. It's getting closer and closer. Like the Chavetz Chaim told his Talmud said, after so many years, I'm starting to be a little bit miyuish. I feel it's a lost case. It's 1,800 years, 1,900 years, or whatever is happening. So what did Chavetz Chaim tell him? He said, what do you mean? It's much closer. What if so many years pass? It means it's inching up. It means every day you're closer to the Geula, and that's the same idea by every person. They're closer to the Geula every single way. If they're on the right track, then they're making it happen. It's growing. If they're on the wrong track, they might make it that it should take longer. That could be. That's also said in the Gemara. But if you're seeing it grow, okay, it's going to take time. It's going to be ripe. But this is the idea. Now, we started with all this, in order we should have clarity that a person could be sure that their situation that they're going through ends with a good ending. That's what we must understand. There isn't any other option in the system of the world. Even if you don't do tshuva, Mashiach is going to come. It's going to be figured out. Hashem will make them do tshuva. It doesn't make a difference. It's going to happen. There's a haftocha on Geula, and that's set. That tells us, it opens up our minds. Whatever you're going through, it doesn't make any difference. But that's the end, because if not, it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't have never started. And that helps a person understand how people go through situations and they say, how could this be Hashem doing this to me? How could this be Toiv? How could it be Toiv? Well, if you're taking only chapter 1 of the story, then you have a very, very good question. It's sometimes so overwhelming, you could just cry from listening to the story. It's just not simple. But it's chapter 1, always, every single time. This is the first chapter. The last chapter of this story, I could tell you. The whole novel in between is not written. It's still, you could still put in text, you could edit, but the last chapter is also written.
I'm sorry to ask for this clarification again. I always end up thinking that when a person who has a disease, and the disease progresses, and the person is nifter.
Right.
That Golus, that was the end of that Golus.
No, we need to get to that now.
Okay.
Now, I mean, before we continue the Shia, I want to get to that. We have to, because we need to elaborate on it. Not only answer. No, because then the person still hopes the child's going to come back. If the child never came back, so these are the two most painful situations that there are. A person has a disease progresses, and then the person was nifter. That was the end of the story. And the person left. Let's say it in full color. It's sad, but let's say it even in the full color. And the person was young, and the person left Yisoimim, and those Yisoimim were left with a scar. They were, you saw, 15 years later that they didn't have they had a childhood, that they really, you can't blame them for what they are, because Nebuch. And you're watching a story and it's so painful. Or the other example that you gave, a person has a child, went off the derech, and they're always davening, they're always hoping, they're always believing, they're always 100% sure that child will come back one day, I promise you. It didn't happen. The story finished. Child's not here anymore. For whatever reasons, it's sometimes very painful. Not to elaborate, sometimes it's really sad. Now that was the end of the story. What's the Nechama here? What's the Nechama? What's the Geula? So we need to talk about it. We have to understand. If topic number 1 is true, then this has to be explained. And what's the explanation? The explanation is built on 2 very strong yisoids that we need to chaza. The simple yisoid is the yisoid of Gilgul and Neshamas and Chiyas HaMesim. That's very simple. That we know that this is a stage. This is a system how this world works. And look back, look to the sides, understand that when a person is in pain, it's very, very hard to be able to look at things just like observing it. But when a person is really with Yeshiva Das, they know this neshama. If we're talking about a person with a disease, it's even easier to explain, because this neshama finished. This neshama had the tachlis, and that's it. Neshama came to its place. Tachas kisya covered, everything is fine. 1 second, but what's about the people around that neshama? What's about all those people that are in pain and are depressed and are going to therapy and it's not helping, and the whole thing? Well, they are in Golus now. You could see that they're still not they're not in the chapters going on. They still have to work out what they have to work out. That neshama, what happened? The neshama went back to the best place that's possible. Now, then we have the other part, which is that we must understand that Geula means that the neshama reaches menucha. Geula means that the neshama reaches it's the destination that the neshama needed to reach, which that's when the neshama has Menuchas HaNefesh and Yishuv Adas and Kirvas Elokim. That's Geula. What was the Geula after Mitzrayim? The Geula after Mitzrayim was that they got Kabbalas HaTorah. And with Kabbalas HaTorah they had everything good in their life, but that was the main that is the Geula. And that's much more pleasurable and much more exciting and makes much more sense than just a guy getting his money or whatever it is. That's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal. That's where a person's supposed to reach. And that's when a person has everything, not just a certain specific thing. That's the real Geula that we're talking about. Well, how is this Golus going to finish? With a Beis HaMikdash, with Mashiach, not with Shwama. That's not how it finishes. It finishes with amazing. Hashem reveals Himself, and you see the toy. But it's a Geulas HaNefesh where the person reached a situation which they really feel they're nigal. When a person, let's say with a different example, when a person goes to a therapist because they're depressed, because they're not being successful in business and married life and a bunch of different things, when do you call it a success story? The success story is if they're happy people and they can handle the challenges and they are Baruch Hashem strong and clear. That was the Geula. That's what we call Geula there. Well, understand, the Torah is the therapy to the world, and the Chovos HaLevavos as well. Chovos HaLevavos is explaining to the person how to do the therapy. That is the ultimate Geula which we're looking for. All the rest is not so important. And then the person has everything. The idea that a person would want to have something specific and they're waiting only for that is a Golus, a blick of Golus. Let's understand this better. They say over this, they say a joke or whatever, it says, Vayar batzar lahem b'shomo yasrinosam. There's a pasuk in Tehillim that says, Hashem saw how tight they are, how in Mitzukah, they're in a tough spot. Hashem saw batzar lahem, that they're going through rough times. When Hashem heard them singing, b'shomo yasrinosam. Now, in the truth of the matter, Rina means also davening and crying to Hashem. That's in the real taich. Kumironi balayla l'rosh hashmuris and eicha. That's the real. But we usually are used to the term that Rinosa means singing, dancing, thanking. So this pasuk doesn't seem to make sense. Hashem saw and got close to them to watch how painful what they're going through when He heard them dancing, when He heard them singing. So they say this joke, they say that they met this Yishalayim Meshulach or something, that he made a huge kiddush in shul, and he said, I had a Yeshua you cannot imagine. He said, what happened? He said, I got a good halva. Whoa! I got massive terms. I got a halva from this. Someone lent me money. Someone borrowed me a ton of money. Now you're supposed to be crying. Why are you excited? You should have been excited if someone gave you the money, but you're going to have to pay it back. That means the person can't even think. He can't fathom what someone should give me that kind of money. 30,000 shekel. No, but I got a good gemach. I have a massive gemach. You could tell the person's stage in life by seeing what he's excited, what gets him. When you see a kid excited with a lollipop, then you know he's 4. Then you know that he's 4. So you could tell, oh wow, if he's 25 and excited with a lollipop, and you see him dancing, it's vayar batzar lehem b'shom yasrinosam. It means nabach. That's what he's excited. Yikes. That's this pasuk. This is what we need to understand. Nothing is going to work if we don't understand this. When a person gets stuck on having a specific issue and he says, don't sell me all that, I want to have that. And the person says that, the reason why he's saying that is because he's in Golus. The person, when they're in jail, when they're in trauma or whatever they are, and you tell them, listen, I want to talk to you about getting totally freed out of jail. And he says, I don't want to talk to you. You have for me food now, yes or no? He can't think about going out because he's now feeling the hunger. We could understand him. We're not laughing, chas v'shalom. The opposite. But that's the truth. the reason why he's so desperate and he's not thinking about the big picture. Why are you thinking about a piece of schnitzel? If I want to talk to you about totally getting free out of jail, you're not normal. The answer is because I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry I can't think about anything else.
That's why Golus is choshech. The person can't see.
That's what it is. When a person is in that Golus, they really don't want to listen to all this. They say, tell me a Geula that works. Don't start telling me that this is good and this is really the goal of my life. That I heard. I want to know if you have something cash. That's the challenge. That is the challenge. And when it's money, then it's sometimes we can laugh about it. But when someone wants something that's real, they're not talking about nonsense. When they want to have a Yeshua, they want to have something. You said they're beside a bed in the hospital, and it's what are you talking about? They're just thinking of the pictures, what could happen. Chas v'shalom, if the Geula doesn't make it, a spouse that you can't even think about it. But still, we must know the truth. We must know the truth. The truth is that the reason why we're focusing on asking for Yeshua, and the word Yeshua all of a sudden gets minimized and focused only on a certain specific aspect, is only because our vision is blurred all around and we can't see anything else. And the Pasuk talks about it. The Pasuk says that Moshe Rabbeinu came to tell them. They couldn't listen. The Pasuk talks about it. It's very painful. The person is in the Torah. They're in it. Yeah. Hashem sent them the message. What did Moshe Rabbeinu come tell them? Moshe Rabbeinu said, I'm with you in the Golus. I will be with you in the common Golus. This is the or. There's a light. But now, this is to answer your question. To answer your question about when we see sometimes that it didn't end well, that's not what happened. So first of all, it's not the end of the story, because we know there's a continuation. That neshama will come to a tikkun. It will happen. And we don't know the whole story, but Hashem took care of it, promised it. And there wouldn't be no way of Golus if there wouldn't be of Geula. Hashem didn't bring neshamas onto this world to be able to mess up, and that was the end of the story. They messed up. And then, nothing. That's not called a plan to the Bria. Hashem calculated billions and billions of details, and the main part of the Bria is the human being, the Yid, the Neshama, and then because he saw a neighbor, and the neighbor told him to do a stupid thing, and then the whole thing went down. You don't do that. Trees and the most amazing science. It doesn't finish science. How everything is calculated, and then the melech from the Bria is just that the nisyonos were too hard. He met someone in yeshiva. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. We need to understand the Shgocha Pratis in the most. You saw the things that are so painful and so real, and the things that take over our lives to understand. It doesn't make sense otherwise that there's no Hashgacha Pratis. But once we put the piece of the puzzle together, there's an end of the story. And another thing, that all the people around, by watching what's going on, the journey that they're going through, is not shaykh. You can't even explain it. It's so deep. As long as they're going on the right path, even with their tippy toes, even if they're moving a centimeter a year, but it's not shaykh. It's not shaykh what they're going through and what they're learning, and their whole outlook on what Briyas Olam is. They're totally being cleansed and becoming closer to Hashem throughout this journey. I once spoke to a couple that was talking about this nisayon of they had a daughter that slipped and was struggling. And while they were talking, the way they were talking, the clarity that they had, and the questions, you saw where they're up to already in their questions with such clarity. I didn't even have to say this about what this does to the people around. They nodded with their head. Even though they were in pain, they said, yeah, we see. They were, and it's amazing. it's tough, it's painful, but it's clear. There's no doubt about it. It's two separate parts. So that neshama is, part of what that neshama is doing right now is making all the other people around them steig and get to where they're supposed to. That's part of it. But that neshama has a difference. Two separate stories. Where that neshama is going to and will have a Yeshua. And right now, the people around are deep in the middle of having a Yeshua. Their perspective on life, their anova, their achnoa, their emuna, their bittul. It's endless what's happening to those people. And they're deep in the middle of that Yeshua. And if they understand that that itself is an amazing Yeshua, the more they connect to that, the less they focus where they're not supposed to be focusing. Where you're focusing. But I want to know if that's happening. You're focusing in the wrong spot. Now, we need to learn, we need to continue. When a person understands this, when we get this better, then when a person's in the tzon, they want to know, what am I supposed to have bitochen? What's supposed to be my bitochen? What am I supposed to be believing? I'm supposed to be sure that. What am I supposed to be sure? So we discussed in the previous year. The number one yesod that a person is supposed to is first of all, accept the situation that Hashem gave you a perfect situation. Don't fight it. If you are stuck there, you can't continue. You have to chazer again and again. Invest time in saying, it's fine, it's perfect. That's Hashem orchestrated it exactly like that, and this is how it's supposed to be, and I'm supposed to be the Eved of Hashem, serving Him in this matzif. Number two is the part that a person is supposed to understand that what I'm going through is Golus, and if what I'm going through is Golus, it means in that Golus is something there, this fruit that's supposed to be growing. Not from the outside, internal. So I could be so sure that Be'ez Hashem there will be a Yeshua. Why is that? Because I see it in front of my eyes, the Golus. I see the Golus, I know there's going to be a Geula. So even though I don't feel it right now, I'm not experiencing the height, the excitement, but one thing I'm sure about. I know some of these seminars that they teach for people that are learning about Yiddishkeit, and they ask about Mashiach and about how do we know that it's actually going to happen. So one of the very simple answers, what the Martzim, what the people that give the lectures, what they tell the people is, they tell them, listen, open up a Novi Yeshaya and start reading all the promises that Hashem gave, what will happen. We're deep in. So many things already happened. And they start listing it. It said that this is going to happen, that's what happened. And then it's, okay, we're halfway through. But you see it. You see the Novi talking about that this will happen, and it's playing itself out. It's when a person sees the Golus, they're already seeing something. I have no idea how, and I don't know what. But I don't have to take it mimerchak yovilachmei. I don't have to go to the outside and say, who could go and shaf me a Yeshua? I have a problem. I need something else. I need a solution. No, the solution right here. Something is going to happen. Now you have to take some tears and some bittul and start watering the tree. And the more we do that, the more the Geula starts getting revealed. What does it mean in simple language, watering that tree? When a person starts saying, what am I supposed to learn from this situation? What am I supposed to be learning from this situation? And they think about it. I learned something. I became a better person. And they change their perspective in life. That's called taking the situation and utilizing it. This is a seminar for me. It's my personal. Hashem gave it to me for one reason, so to make me a better person. And then I'm going to be closer to Hashem. And then I will have all the good, this world and the coming world. This is it. So now let me work this out. Let me figure out which mistakes did I make. So beautiful. If I learned, then I'm already halfway through. I learned. I made a mistake. But that's fine, because I'm closer. I learned that. I learned what not to do next time. I learned exercises, how to do tshuva on certain things. It takes the person on a ride. When someone is doing that with their situation, what they're doing is, they're working on it. It's like a dough. You're working on the dough. When a person works on the dough, it becomes a better dough. A person really gets to a better place. Now, Rabbi Akiva, and 1 second, and it makes it happen quicker. It makes, that thing starts happening quicker. The Yeshua starts happening. He doesn't know what and doesn't know how. Now, the more a person focuses on the outside, on the external Yeshua. External Yeshua means that they're not working on themselves. They're not learning what could, they're not doing anything about it. All they're doing is, they're looking to the outside. They're looking there, they're looking here, they're looking all over the place. So, they're not making it happen quicker. When we spoke about making a Suda, now, a person making a Suda when they're waiting for Yeshua means it could only work when a person is taking that into themselves. They're saying, I can make a Suda. Why? Why can I make a Suda? Because what do you mean? I'm halfway through the problem I have already. The issue I have, I'm struggling with something, okay? It's coming. It's like it got cloudy, it's going to rain. Yeah, it's dark out there. Something's warming up. That's the idea. In what are they so sure? In what are they so, you know what they're so sure in? They're sure in what lies in this. That's batuach. That, if you're buying a big suda for that Geula and you understand what you're doing, you didn't waste a shekel. Because that's always, and that's avodas Hashem. And of course that will make the Yeshua happen quicker, because it's like Avraham Avinu and Mitzrayim. You just made that whatever has to happen is going to happen. The more a person will imagine themselves that they're waiting for a specific phone call, they want that phone call to happen, or they want that person to say yes, or there are all kinds of such situations that they're waiting for a specific Yeshua that. Let's understand why this is making the Yeshua happen, go further away. Because as we said before, it's a Golus digger way of thinking. So a person is investing in the Golus. He's putting down you saw this in that Golus. He's saying, I don't tell me other things, I want this. And that's a very big mistake. Rabbi Akiva, in the end of Masechtas Makos, is a very known story. When they saw the Churban Abayis, everybody cried, and Rabbi Akiva smiled. And they asked him, how could you smile when you could see this Beis HaMikdash that you yourself saw? That it's, that Beis HaMikdash b'sefarto, and now you see Shu'olim Hilchu by foxes just running through. It's so sad. And he told him the pasuk about the Novi in Yeshai. He told him what is going to happen. It's very nice. A person should have emunah, but it's still right now that's not the matziv. Why is that a sibah to laughter? Maybe it's a chizik. Rabbi Akiva said the opposite. Rabbi Akiva said, listen, what was the problem? Why was Churban Bayis Sheni? There was a problem. It was broken. If Yidden had sinas chinam, it was broken. Now, when Hashem destroyed the Beis HaMikdash, it wasn't for nothing. It means in the end this is going to work out. There's a plan. However long it takes, but Hashem decided to restructure. So it means that the third Beis HaMikdash is not going to go through the same thing again, because it doesn't make sense. Because why would Hashem do that? So what I'm seeing right now is I'm seeing here. I'm not laughing then that I'm going to see the Geula. When I watch the Beis HaMikdash, that's what I see. That's what I see. When I once heard this expression, when you watch a child and you see the child is so wild and so whatever it is, you're seeing potential. Now, raw potential is not pleasant. Raw potential is very messy, very, very messy. And with those kids, they have talent, they have koiches, and they're not this. If you see a guy, he's just, everything's fine, he's always smiling, he's always, okay, that's what it is. Now, when we see Yisurim and Soros and all that, it's raw potential. That's what it is. You're seeing raw potential, but the good news is that the end is promised. The end is promised that this boy one day, now if is going to grow up. So if a person has a child and the child is doing stupid mistakes in their life, And then why is the person, the parent, why are they so upset, the parents? Why are they so frustrated? Don't they know that he's only 15 and 15-year-olds could do this? The answer is, listen, if they would see the picture, how he's going to be with 30, with Kanai Nahora, and this, and it turned out to good, then they would be calm. But being that they don't see that picture, and their heart is in their hands, wondering, who knows, this guy's never going to be able to get married like this, then they're frustrated, even though he's 15. Now, if Hashem promised us that every Golus is going to come to a Geula, everything is only heading to the good, then you have that promise. Now, you're saying it now. I didn't say it's pleasant. It's not pleasant at all, but it shouldn't bring a person to a pachad. It shouldn't bring a person to be depressed. The depressed comes from, they see no future. There's no future. No. Everything can be turned around. Every single one can be turned around to bring to the better. So if that's the case, then once again, the Yesodus of Bitochen is built, number one, accepting. Number two is knowing that in here, right here, I don't need anything else. I just have to believe that this is going to bring me to a better spot. Me, the people around me, something good is happening right now. There's so much frustration. There's so many swarm that came out to explain Yiddishkeit because people had challenges. There's so much good that came out. Why? It's because something was in the middle of happening. Because something was in the middle of cooking. Nothing is a mistake. If that's the case, a person could sing and dance, even though they're not experiencing yet the Yeshua, but they're sure. They are 100,000% sure. Now there's a word of Reb Shlomke's Villa. Nobody should get upset because it's not my word. It's Reb Shlomke's Villa's word. Reb Shlomke's Villa said like this: if a person davens very, very hard for a Yeshua, they daven hard, and then they get right afterwards a phone call that's done, then they should know it might not last. If they daven for Yeshua and right afterwards they have a big letdown, a huge letdown, that is a simon that Hashem took your tefillah. Reb Shlomke's Villa said that. A sign, you want to know if your tefillah, you were just by Reb Shimon the whole time, and you're like convinced that you did it, and then you have wow, boom, it comes caving in. Oh, Baruch Hashem. You see, your tefillahs were answered. Now it sounds like a little bit like, what's the point? It's like a game. Hashem is trying to tease us. No, because if a person understands what Yeshua is, then it's not such a funny word. If you're playing a game, you're saying, I need X amount of money, and now I need it, and then it came, then Yeshua is not happening now. Money maybe is in there, but you're not leaving. It's like the guy in jail that we spoke before. He got a schnitzel. He got the schnitzel. So now where did you get to? I don't know. He has the schnitzel, but you don't see a big long-term Yeshua. But if the situation is that Hashem is saying, okay, you're speeding up the process, you might feel something in the next 2 hours, okay? Get ready. It means he's driving quicker. He was driving 60 miles an hour now, being that he davened, he's like, now he feels the bumps. It means that Hashem feels that your heart is stronger now. You okay, go. That's what Hashem did. Hashem said, okay, it's going to be a bit harder before it gets easier, because things are, this is the idea Hashem wants us to understand. Don't understand that the letdowns and the disappointments throughout the journey is showing you that nothing is happening or that you're going backwards. It's not true. It's not true, because that's not what Geula and Golus is all about. And if you understand that, then you're definitely heading in the right direction. I saw one of the tzaddikim that one day he came into shul and he made a huge suda, and that Baruch Hashem, they asked him what happened. He said that someone embarrassed him terribly. He said, and I have a kubel from tzaddikim, that if someone all of a sudden he had a terrible embarrassment, then what happens is it means that it was basher, that the person should be very sick, and they waived it. So he said, someone that was sick and was cured has to bench goimel. You have to thank Hashem. It's official. You have to bring the korban toida. Someone that was sick, and Baruch Hashem, he finished, and the doctor said he's clean. He said, okay, it just happened, and I happened to have done it very quick. He said, I didn't have to go through the whole journey. He understood this is it's not only a story about being Makabel Yasurim. He understood that there's something happened now. The journey that happened to me now. And if that's the case, then I had a Yeshua.
Now you clarify what I'm hearing this week different than last week. Last week we were talking about you're making the Suda now with the confidence that the Yeshua will come. This week we're learning that you're making the Suda now because the Yeshua is here. It's here now in the present. It's not revealed.
It's not revealed. Let's explain. It doesn't contradict what we spoke last week. It gives another bit. It gives dimension to it. What does it mean? I'm confident I'm going to have Yeshua. Everybody is very. Some people are mixed up with that to one way or the other way. What does it mean to be confident I'm going to have a Yeshua? I spoke to a person that went through a tragedy, and then he wanted to ear out right afterwards, so he went to one of these big Shabbosim of Chizik, and throughout the whole Shabbos, he was listening to stories. This person did this school and he got Gehova, this school and he got a Yeshua, this school and he got a Yeshua, this school and he got a Yeshua. The guy wanted to punch the guy in the face. He said, why did I come to the Shabbos? Why did I come to the Shabbos? I did every single Gula in the book, he told me himself. Every single Gula, for me nothing worked. Nothing. It didn't work to do those Gulas. So why are people advertising all day, do this and it's going to work, to pour salt on the wounds? I promise you I tried it. I did everything that I could. But this guy is having Yeshua. He's deep into his Yeshua. Why? Because what do you mean? Because I don't want to say it too sharp, but if the situation would have switched over, he would have stayed with his mistake a whole life. It didn't. It ended very, very sad. Very, very sad. And now, who is he on a journey? He's climbing, he's flying up, because now he knows the truth, and now he's putting things really into place. And all of a sudden, his happiness is Eina Tluya B'Davar. This is where a person's supposed to get to. Their happiness and their excitement and their tainug and everything, their pleasure in life is not dependent if I have this or if I don't have that. It's not dependent anymore on that. They're close to Hashem and they have a good life, and everything starts going well for a person that's close to Hashem. So this is the balance that a person is supposed to understand and invest all their energy in trying to see a Geula digger picture, not a Golus digger picture of Yeshua. There is a Geula. The more I invest in believing in that and knowing that and living that type, it's going to be revealed. It's going to be revealed. Till the person is supposed to reach the goal, he's supposed to reach the level, the stage in his heart, that when someone asked, and what was the end of the story, the guy says, I don't care. That's the goal. That's the goal we're supposed to. As long as a person's still busy figuring out that part, it means change your glasses. You're still looking with the Golus, the eyes. It happens to be that Hashem pays back with all good, but that's totally not the point. That's not the point. Okay.